Hey guys, today I'll be solving the MTS diagnostic quiz, the other one, not the one that has grade 7 material. This is the material for it. The video is being recorded for that one, but I'll be doing the grade 9 material one. So the first 5 questions don't need solving. It's just multiple choice. So which of the following must be true for HGGF to be an isosceles trapezoid? This is memorization. F is congruent, angle F is congruent to angle J. Yes, base angles in a trapezoid and an isosceles trapezoid are congruent. And FH is congruent to GJ, the lines. Yeah, these two lines have to be congruent and these two have to be parallel. That makes it a general trapezoid. Okay. Which of the following by itself is enough to guarantee that the quadrilateral is a parallelogram? Select the 3 correct options. Okay, so this again is memorization. Both pairs of opposite sides are pairs of parallel sides. That's correct. Both pairs of opposite sides are pairs of congruent sides, and one pair of opposite sides are parallel and congruent. This one's actually easy to think of because if you know this, then you're gonna know this one. Basically, if you just remember this, that's one pair that have to be parallel and congruent, then you can remember that two pairs have to be parallel. Like it branches off, basically. Like this branches off into this, and this part branches off into this part. This is how I memorize it. But you can think about it logically, basically. Okay, which of the following conditions by itself is enough to guarantee that quadrilateral is a parallelogram? Select the 2 correct options. Both pairs of opposite angles are pairs of congruent angles, and each pair of consecutive angles are pairs of symmetry angles. So basically, 2 angles. Let me just pull up a parallelogram. Parallelogram. Okay, if that actually works. It's on a website. It's okay. Parallelogram. So, what they meant here is, if I can find one. Okay, I'll use this one from Wikipedia. Both pairs of opposite angles are pairs of congruent angles. So this angle basically is congruent to this angle, and this angle here, angle D, is congruent to angle B. Also, angle A and angle B have to make up 180, and angle D and angle C have to make up 180. Both of these must be true for a parallelogram to be, or for a quadrilateral to be a parallelogram, like guaranteed. Question 4. Which of the following conditions by itself is enough to guarantee that a parallelogram is a rectangle? What people get confused about in this question is the diagonals. Are they congruent or are they bisecting each other? Now, what you remember is if they are congruent, just memorize it, they are congruent. Don't memorize it as logically here. Just memorize it pure memorization. So select the 2 correct options. One of its angles is right. Obviously, this one's common sense. And its diagonals are congruent. Question 5. This is where we start like properly solving. So I'll go to the solutions here. We start off with question 5. Negative 6x plus 9 is greater than or equal to 39. Now you take the 9 to the other side. It'll be you subtract because the sign changes. Obviously, negative 6x is greater than or equal to 30. And you divide by negative 6, so you'll have 6x is less than or equal to negative 5. Now you have to remember, if you're dividing the integer that has the variable multiplied by it, so like 6x, 6y, anything, negative 6x, negative 6y, sorry, you flip the inequality. So this greater than or equal to changes into a less than or equal to, and vice versa. If you were to have a less than or equal to, it would change to a greater than or equal to. So our x would be less than or equal to negative 5. So this would be our answer, and you'd graph it like this. Now the way I memorize it is use the tip of the arrow use the tip of the symbol as an arrow. So like here you see it's this, then you just draw like a line here as an arrow. So you know that the inequality will be going this way, to the left, sorry. And that's the pretty much the easy way to memorize it. Obviously, you don't need to do it like this. And then they gave you the value of b, which we solved for as x, which is less than or equal to negative 5. Question 6. Consider the radical equation root 4x minus 15 plus 5 equal to x. Okay. Root 4x minus 15 plus 5 equal to x. You take 5 to the other side, obviously, because you want to isolate it, the root, so you can square it. So you took it to the other side, and now you square root 4x minus 15, and you also square x minus 5. Now, once you square both of these, the root cancels with the square. So you don't have to worry about that anymore. This is gone and this is gone. So it's 4x minus 15. Now you expand x minus 5. You apply the remarkable identity a minus b squared, which is a squared minus 2ab. I'm sorry if this is like really slow. Plus b squared. Ignore that beautiful b. This is for a minus b squared. So expand it and you apply it. A squared, which a is x here, so x squared minus 2 times x times 5. So 2 times x is 2x times 5 is gonna be 10x, and that's a minus, so minus 10x plus b squared. B is 5 here, so 25, which is 5 squared, obviously. Now, you solve it like it's a normal equation. You take these two to the other side, and what's special about the quadratic is it has to equal 0. That's how, if there's an x, if there's a second degree, and that equals to 0, it's a quadratic. Now, you factor this out, and this factoring should be really easy if you don't know how. Use the options they give you. As you can see, it can be 4, 10, negative 10, or 4. Now think about it logically. What numbers multiply together to be 40 and add together to be negative 14? That are these two numbers that are part of these four numbers. Now, if you want to multiply negative 10 by negative 4, which is correct, that's what the answers are, you'd get them. But if you were to choose 10 and 4, you'd get positive 40 and positive 14, which is not what we want. So you obviously you check these mentally. Negative 4x, negative 4 times x is negative 4x, plus negative 10x, which is negative 14x, and if it equals the middle number, as you know, it's a correct function. It's a correct factor, sorry. So you have our two solutions, x equals to 10 and x equals to 4. You try both of them. Now I happened to try x equals 10 first, and I got lucky with it. So it was, the solution was 10. You substitute 10 instead of x basically, and you solve for it. As you can see, I solved for it. Now keep note that if this is a written exam, on the equal signs, while you're checking if it is the correct value, you add a question mark above it. And according to my math teacher, at least, they do check. They do, of last year, not of this year. My math teacher said they do check for this. I'm not sure if they still check, but just to be safe, while you are testing to see if it is the correct value, add the question mark. As you can see, I added them on top of all of them here. So for this is what I would do. And we got 10 for our solution. 10 equals 10, which is obviously defined, and it's true. So we choose 10 as our solution to the radical equation. Okay, we're a third of the way there. Now, given that G is the centroid, okay, centroids have a special property that I explained a bit differently from the book. I find it easier like this. I gave an example so you can understand. Basically, the centroid splits the line that it cuts. So, for example, this line, let's take KC, into the ratio 2 to 1. So basically, what this means is that this smaller line is half of this line, or not half of this line. Let me rephrase that. The bigger line, which is this, is, well, technically it is true. The smaller line is half of the bigger line, but an easier way to phrase it so you guys can understand easier is that this line here, the bigger line, is 2 times bigger than the smaller line, which I wrote here. For example, I wrote A, B, and the centroid would be O. BO is 2 times bigger than AO, which is what the ratio 2 to 1 means. Or you could also say AO is half of BO. So now what we apply that rule of the centroid here. They gave you the values mg equals 10x, which I wrote them here. I wrote it as gm, mg, same thing. In question 7, ag is 2 times bigger than gm. As you can see, ag is the big line. Or no, sorry, I think, yeah, it is ag here. Okay, ag is the big line, and gm is the smaller line. So ag is 2 times bigger than gm, or mg. Now, they gave us GM to be 10x and AG to be 28 plus 6x. What you can do, you can either divide this entire value by 2 and get 14 plus 3x equals 10x, or you can easily just multiply this value, the 10x, by 2, which is what I did here, and take the other value here. which is an application of what I just said, that the bigger line is 2 times bigger than the smaller line. So you have to set this to 2 times its original value so they can be equal. Now you solve this for x, 28 plus 6x equals 20x, you take x to the other side, 14x equals 28, you divide by 14, x equals 2. Okay. The next question I believe is about the... Okay, this can be done mentally, I don't even need to explain this. In a trapezoid, in a parallelogram, sorry, the diagonals, when they're bisected, they're basically bisected where they meet. So this part is congruent to this part. And this part is congruent to this part. These values are congruent to each other. So we have y equals 18, and they want the value of x. Now, because y equals 18, because I just said these two are congruent, x equals y minus 2, 18 minus 2, which is 16, and that's the answer. Okay, in the diagram below, triangle M and K is similar to triangle XYZ, MS 35 and L is 25. Okay, they just gave you the values here. So now you just write the ratios as is. So you write MS over NL is equal to XR over YF. These are just the ratios. These are the proportions. Okay, so now you substitute in the values. 35 for MS, which is what they gave us, and 25 for NL, which is what I put. XR would be 14, and we're trying to find YF. Now, so here you have these two. 35 over 25 equals 14 over YF. You simplify 35 by 25, divide by 5 on both sides. 35 divided by 5 is 7, and 25 divided by 5 is 5. Now what you do here is you cross multiply. 7 times YF is equal to 5 times 14. 7 YF is equal to 70 because 14 times 5, I did the multiplication here. YF equals 10 because you divided by 7 on both sides. And 10 should be right. So let me just check after I resolve this. Yes, it is okay. Refer to the diagram below. Okay, they gave us a triangle. I wrote it here. Now what I do to make this easier on myself is I flip the triangle to make it look neater. Basically, this is essentially the triangle just flipped properly, the way we find it easy to understand. Now you notice 104 is the root 104 is the hypotenuse, and this side is 2. Now they want this side for tan. So what I just did, I labeled this side as x. You can label it as z, as a, as b, as n, as anything really, because this isn't important. You're just finding the side here, so you can apply the tan ratio, the trigonometric ratio of tan. So you find x by the Pythagorean theorem. 104 squared equals to 2 squared plus x squared. 4 plus x squared is 104 because the root cancelled out with the square. And x squared, you took 4 to the other side, x squared equals 100. Obviously, you know that 10 squared is 100, so x equals 10. Now, how do you memorize the trigonometric ratios? This should be, you guys should know this, but like not, for some reason teachers didn't say it, but you guys should. It's called SOHCAHTOA. SOHCAHTOA basically stands for sine for the S, opposite over hypotenuse, O and H. K is cosine for the C, adjacent is A, and hypotenuse is H. TOA, tan for the T, O for the opposite, and adjacent for the A. And this is just a much easier way to memorize the ratios. Now, you want tan, which is the opposite of y, over its adjacent. So y, tan of y equals x over 2, and x was given to be 10 because we found it. 10 over 2 is 5, and tan of y equals 5. But I don't think they're gonna give us just tan y in the exam. They might give us like 39 times tan y, and they might give us a value that cancels out with 39, which is what they did in the last geometry periodic. That's probably what they're gonna do, so just so you know, just for your info. Okay, if OL is perpendicular to IE and OS is 10, FM is 28, then MS is what? Okay, so you have to know a property of the things, of the chords and the radii. If they're perpendicular, if the chord is perpendicular to a radius of a circle, then the radius basically will bisect the chord. So this part will be congruent to this part. So the rest of the given is useless apart from the value of the entire chord, which is fm. Fm is 28, so this would be 14 and this would be 14. Ms is what we want. Ms is 14 because it's bisected, and that's our answer. Ignore OS, ignore the radius. You don't need it at all, and you need this to know that it is actually perpendicular. Moving on. Question 12. Given that p of x, the function is 5x to the power of 4 minus 6x plus 4x, blah blah blah, and q of x is all of this. Fill in the blanks to give the coefficients of the polynomial p of x minus q of x when expressed in simplest form. Okay, this is gonna be long. The way I find this easiest is write all of the function they gave you or the polynomial in standard form. So basically in degrees, in decreasing degrees, basically where the degrees are decreasing. So 4, 3, 2, 1, and here would be 0. You just obviously don't write those down. So you do the same for q of x, and then you subtract. Now what people mix up is that when you're doing q minus q of x, you don't just subtract the first value of q of x. You don't take the first value of it. You subtract the whole polynomial from things. So you put a bracket so you can distribute the minus across all values. And this is how people get this question wrong. They don't distribute the minus over the whole thing. Now what you can do is you can subtract vertically, which is what some people do. I don't like doing it. So p of x minus q of x is equal to this, but how did we do it? 5x to the power of 4 plus 12x to the power of 3 plus 4x squared minus 6x plus 9. Now here's the part, the q of x part, in which we distributed the subtraction symbol. So minus 2x to the power of 4, it makes sense because this was positive. Obviously positive with negative makes negative. Same with 25x cubed, and here since it was negative and we distributed the minus sign, negative with negative make a positive, plus x squared minus 4x. Now what you do, you combine like terms. So 5x4 minus 2x4 will give you 3x4. This is what both of these give. For your ease, just cross them out now, so you don't have to deal with them again. 12x3 minus 25x3, sorry, x cubed minus 25x cubed. 25 minus 12 would be 13, so negative 13 because it's positive 12 minus 25x cubed. You cross these out now, and x squared plus 4x squared give 5x squared, obviously. So you now cross these out because you don't need them. Negative 6x with negative 4x make negative 10x. And what's left is this 9. This is why you cross out, so you don't get confused with what values are left over. So plus 9 is the only value remaining, and it doesn't combine with any other terms. So we just write it down to the final answer, which is copy it. And so this would be the final answer of p of x minus q of x, all of this, and this is what you would write down into the answer sheet, or into the computer, sorry. Here it's fill in the blank, so you don't need to write down all of it, but it is the same answer. Now, this is factoring. It's the factoring that involves two steps, sorry. Now, well, first of all, what do? You find the common number between these two, common integer that you can divide by all of these to simplify the factoring. Here it's 2, but since our first value is negative, so it's gonna be negative 2. Now if you look for any common variables, and we have x here, but we don't have an x here, so x is not a common variable. We have y, and we have y, so y is a common variable. Now for variables, you look for you divide by you factor out the one with the smallest degree. So this would be 1, this would be 2, this is 3, so you take out y to the power of 1, which is what we did. Okay, so now you begin dividing the numbers here by the number here. So negative 6x squared y by negative 2y would give you a positive 3x squared. The y cancels out with the y here. Okay, minus, because this is positive, 10xy divided by 2y. 5. Why say 5? Because I already put the minus down. X stays because it's not divisible, and y squared becomes y because one cancels with this one. And now same for this one, you divide by 2y, you get negative 2y squared. And now this isn't enough because they want us to factor it as a product of two binomials. A binomial is basically two values like this. So what you do, you factor it out even more. You factor, they helped you out by, I have this answer corrected, so it doesn't even matter. They helped you out by saying blank x plus y. Honestly, I personally always look at the given. So say I cross these out. I have whatever number I have. Let me see what I have here. I have 3x squared minus 5x minus 2. So we need a number that would make 3 and negative 2. Now they gave us here positive y, and this is for the second number. So this would be the number. So like, let's just say I'll write it down. Ax, whatever it was. I'm gonna write it down in terms of variables. 3x squared minus 5xy minus 2y squared. 3x squared minus 5xy minus 2y squared. Okay. Obviously, so we start with the first number here. Now they gave us 1x here. What number multiplied by 1 would give us 1x would give us a second x, 3x squared. Obviously 3x. Now they give you the x here, so I only write 3. See, I'm just working with what I have given, so I don't have to waste my time on trial and error. Now, same with the last number here. They gave us y, positive y. We need negative 2y squared. What number do we need to multiply positive y by to get negative 2y squared? Obviously negative 2y. So this would be our factors. These would be our factors, 3 and negative 2 here. So this would be the complete factor, and this is your answer. Now, obviously, you can do trial and error. But it's like, why? If they gave you enough given to determine what the factors are from the given itself, don't do that. So now we're on the addition of the fractions. Okay. Y plus 1 over 4y into y minus 1 plus 5 over 6y squared. You find the LCD, the least common denominator, which would be the common factor between 4 and 6, and list whatever you have here to the greater degree. So if you have a common variable, you list the bigger degree, which in this case is 2, and the common factor and the common multiple between 6 and 4 is 12, so 12y squared, and you list down whatever you have left, so y minus 1. Okay, this is our LCD. Now you have to multiply the fractions to get the LCD. So here, what completes 12 if you already have 4? 3. Now y squared, we already have y, so multiply by y, and we already have y minus 1, so no need. So I multiply here by up as well, and same thing with here. So this would be 2y minus 1, because this is what we have missing. And instead of just rewriting it, I'll say here as well. So this is just what I wrote down here: 3y into y plus 1, which is the brackets again are multiplication, plus 5 times 2 is 10, which is what I put into y minus 1 over the LCD. And now you simplify what you have here, this mess. You distribute 3y over this and 10 over this, 3y squared plus 3y, which is the first part of this. So this is this. And 10y, and you distribute 10 over y minus 1, which is this part. Okay, so now you combine like terms. 3y squared has no other like terms, so does negative 10. There's those two, you leave them alone. Now 3y and 10y do, so you add them. 3y squared plus 13y minus 10. So 13y is the value they want, so you just write 13 because they already gave you the y, and that's the answer. Okay, if 2x squared minus 18x is over x is equal to 0, so find the value of x, whatever they want. Yeah, they want what else x equal. Now, you have to remember the conditions and what domain they don't belong to. So like this, what number is not in the domain of this time? You put it in the terms of functions because it's going to be easier. You just took this. What number will make this function undefined? So not in its domain. Obviously, since it's over x, x cannot be 0, because if this was 0, the whole fraction would be undefined. The whole answer would be undefined, and that's not what we want. We want an answer. So x cannot be 0. So now you take the top part and set it equal to 0. So 2x squared minus 18x is equal to 0, which translates into, you factor the 2x out because you have common, it'll just make your life easy. 2x into x minus 9, this is what you factored the common out, is equal to 0. Now, you take this part as equal to 0, and you take this part as equal to 0. Now, 2x equals to 0 means that x has to equal 0, and remember this condition, x cannot be 0. So this answer is wrong, it's invalid. Now, x minus 9 equals 0, take a 9 to the other side, x equals 9, and this is our answer, because this will give a valid result, and it will equal 0. Like, if you want to try it. 2x squared, which is, it's a bit difficult to try it on a calculator, you'll get 0. So, we're on the last 3 questions. This question is the last pretty much difficult one, I would say. The rest are extremely easy. Okay, in simplest form, 16 over 81 to the power of 3 over 4 can be expressed as k over 27. Okay, so you start off. If you remember the distribution properties of fractions when they're exponents, the first value is what the exponent of integer is. So, like, for example, say you have a x over y. Okay, this would mean that a to the power of x to root y. So let me just start here. This is what it means. That basically the first value, the numerator is the exponent, and the y value is the value of the radicand, or whatever it was called. The index, that's what it was called, the index value. So you just apply what I just said. You distribute now 16 cubed to the 4th power over the 81 cubed to the 4th power. Now, since you have both of these common powers, you can take the power out and put it in a bracket, which is what I did here. You'll distribute it later. Why did I do this? Because 16, if you know, it can be expressed as 2 to the power of 4, and 81 can be expressed as 3 to the power of 4. Now remember, we have it to the 4th root, so this root cancels with this, and this root cancels with the square, with the 4th power, sorry. So what you have now is 2 over 3 cubed. You distribute the cube on both sides. So it will be 2 cubed over 3 cubed. 2 cubed is 8 and 3 cubed is 27. Now they gave us 27, and k, which is the constant, is 2 cubed, which is 8. That's our answer. Now the other two should be fairly easy. The other two, this one, you're just applying a squared, a plus b squared, which again is a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. Now, as you can see, 2 is a, and 2x is a, and 3 is b. So 2a squared, 2x squared, which is 4x squared, plus 2ab, 2 times 2x times 3, which is 12x, plus 3 squared, which is 9. That's the answer. Okay, last question. It's very easy. It's common factoring. I shouldn't even do this, but I will. Again, work with your given. So if you have -5 and you need -20, what number? You already have a negative. So if you add another negative to make it positive. So we already know that it's a positive, and it's already given here, anyways. So what number multiplied by 5 would give us 24? So you write it down. Now, this is where it's gonna get a little tricky because they don't give you enough given to find 6x squared. Now, what you can factor out, actually no, you do if you think about it, because if they were to express it as 6x minus 5 into 1x, which doesn't exist, so like, because the multiples of 6 are, or sorry, the factors of 6 is 1, 6, 2, and 3. Now, 1 and 6, if you were to put 6 here and 1 here, or vice versa, you wouldn't need to put the 1. So they just write x. They wouldn't write blank x. So you can cross it out. These two, so you're only left with 2 and 3. Now you just try 2 here and 3 here, or 3 here and 2 there. Just trial and error for that one. Now, sometimes they will trick you and they will let you write 1x. Try all of the multiples just to be safe. Try the factors, sorry. Keep mixing them up. Try the factors just to be safe. Factor it out properly. And you'll hopefully get your answer. Okay, now I have to upload this, which is going to take another like 10 minutes or so. So good luck, guys. Good luck tomorrow on your exam. I'll hope you guys all do good.